Welcome you this morning, and as we start our program, we have lots of special people here today. First of all, we have the educators of Henderson County, and they by far are the most special people. We have special people to my left that I would like to just briefly introduce to you, because this could not happen this morning without educators, community, and families coming together. And we have lots of community support to help pull off a program like this and a day-long event that helps us as educators and helps our families. So I'd like to introduce you. Oh, here comes the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow. Stand up, Scarecrow. We have the Tin Man somewhere. The Tin Man. The Lion. And Dorothy. And Dorothy. Sitting next to the Scarecrow is City Commissioner. Be careful. Tom Davis. Thank you for being here. Jan Height. Thank you for being here. Russell Sykes. City Manager. Brad Schneider, President of the Chamber, Northwest Kentucky Forward. Henderson's finest mayor, Steve Austin, please stand. John Sykes, our school board member. Down at the pits cooking chickens, we also have school board member Ben Johnston and the County Judge Executive Hugh McCormick and former board member Mike Waller and some of the Accurate crew cooking 700 chickens for us today. Pretty exciting. My last task this morning too, though, is I'd like to recognize Danielle Crafton and Cindy Williams and their co-op student, John Paul Evelyn. John Paul's doing our photography right down here. They are really the creative juices behind our theme, There's No Place Like Home in the Wizard of Oz. And you all have all seen the movie or read the storybooks of how the importance of what Dorothy learned when she woke up and realized what had happened to her was probably a dream. But through that whole movie, she learned the importance of family, and she learned the importance and the value of home. And I think that is the message and the purpose of our Home Visit Blitz in the Henderson County Schools, is helping families to bridge the gap between home and school, and for us to understand our kids' values and what they bring to us every day when they come to our schools. So I would certainly like to welcome you to the 2013 community-wide Home Visit Blitz, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Wonderful day.
Thank you, Morgana. All right, what a great day. It's finally here, so I cannot believe it's been a year since we did this. But anyway, let's hear it for the schools. So when I say your school, if you want to stand up, yell, whatever you decide to do, I want to hear it from each school. So the first school is Henderson County High School. Next we have Central Academy. North Middle School. South Middle School. A.B. Chandler. Oh, we're back there. Spotsville. All right. Niagara. Cairo. Oh, come on, Cairo. East Heights. All right. South Heights. Bengay. And Jefferson. All right, thank you.
I've robbed the mic for a minute. There's one thing I'd love the high school to do for us. Will the high school folks stand? All high school folks. Take us away in the fight song, guys. I love it when y'all do this. so much.
All right, now we'd like to welcome our superintendent, Dr. Ritchie, up to the stage.
Good morning, Henderson County. I am really feeling blue, but I am so happy you are here today to start off this new school year. We're going to keep our program right on task, so I'll reserve some comments to later on, but thank you for being here, and we're looking forward to a great year together as we serve our children and our community as educational leaders. It is my pleasure to introduce to you County High School student Mallory Williams, who will sing our national anthem. Mallory.
Would you all please stand? Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose brushlights and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Mallory. I want to extend on behalf of the Henderson County School District our appreciation to our platform guests and our special speakers that have traveled from afar to be with us today. I also, every so often in a bureaucracy, there steps an individual who is well suited for the task. I am delighted to have the privilege of presenting to you this morning a fellow educator, someone who just recently left the public school system of Madison County to become Chief of Staff for our Commissioner, Dr. Holliday. Without further ado, it is my privilege to welcome Dr. Tommy Floyd, Chief of Staff of KDE. Dr. Floyd.
Good morning. I bring you greetings from Dr. Holliday, the Kentucky Board of Education, and the staff of the Department of Ed. As KDE's new Chief of Staff, I'm honored to be here and share with you some points today. Dr. Holliday told me several times how much he enjoyed the participation and experience he had. And I don't have this on my notes, but just in case you're not aware, if you look around the room, this doesn't happen everywhere in Kentucky. We sure wished it did. What the Commissioner was most appreciative of last time was the connections that teachers made with parents. You're all doing great things in Henderson. Henderson County School District and your superintendent and your effort for kids are a widely known thing. It's no secret that parent engagement is one of the key factors in helping students become college and career ready. Walking through this building this morning, I've seen lots and lots of evidence that you're clear on your mission. When teachers connect with parents at their homes, on their turf, it shows them that it's okay to seek out those connections as the school year gets underway and over the next 9 months. It's those connections that glue and binds the teachers and parents in a very important partnership, a partnership that research shows leads to student achievement and school success. As I talk about parents, I'm reminded that parents are no longer defined by the traditions of the past and can include a traditional family unit, single moms or dads, grandparents, other family members or guardians. Regardless of how they are defined, these adults can play an integral role in a child's educational process. As a former superintendent, principal, and teacher, I'm no stranger to home visits. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to see what's happening today, besides just the cool light blue t-shirts. I do want to bring to mind that I have a memory of a famous home visit. As a middle school teacher, I had two brothers, a 7th grader and an 8th grader. Many times in the classroom I said, I'm going to come visit your house. And they both would grin and say, sure you will. Well, one day I took it upon myself to do just that. And of all the home visits, and I had participated in many, organized and unorganized, I'll never forget the time that I told both of them that I was headed to their house to meet their parents. I arrived at the home, which had a basic wall around it and a gate. I knocked on the gate, and a large bearded man came to the door, or the gate, and said, what do you want? I entered in and said, I'd like to talk to Mr. So-and-so that lives here. What do you want to talk to him about? I want to talk to him about his sons. I entered in that gate, and I saw over 25 gentlemen who would you best represented as a motorcycle gang, with motorcycles intact. It was a denim leather fest. Just want to point that out. A man in the center of the circle asked me what I was there to do. It was obviously the father. I told him that I was there to talk about his two sons, a 7th and 8th grader, in my science class at Meese Middle School. He told the men in that circle to sit, and without exception, every man in that circle sat where he was standing. And we talked about his sons for probably 20 minutes. And when we stood and shook hands, I had gained a partner which was very valuable for the rest of that time. While I remained in Somerset, both of those boys graduated from high school. I would see that father time and time again. And even though there were a few things we were different on, one thing that we were definitely the same on, we were both there for his sons. You're going to make those kind of connections today. And I applaud you from everything that I am for what you're trying to do and the doors you're going to open for kids today by going to these homes. We must remember that even though many of us are parents, our experiences may be very different. And your experiences may be vastly different from those of your students and the families you'll visit today. It's critical that every family member knows there's a way and a place for them to help a Henderson County student. Maybe a parent that you'll visit today had a bad school experience when they were a student. I've heard that many times. Maybe they were bullied in school. Maybe they fear for their child about to go into middle school or into high school. You can explain to them that things that would make them concerned are not tolerated here, and you can share with them school policies and efforts you're going to make their child's entrance into the day a success. Maybe you're going to talk to parents who dropped out of school, and they fear the same for their child. Very proud of our state, our legislature, and our leaders in making college and career readiness for all Kentucky children a priority. But that doesn't happen at the state level. That happens here. It happens probably starting today. Your district was one of the districts that made the dropout age to 18. And I know that you're already talking about ways to capture processes where boys and girls can find success in Henderson County like never before. So as you go out into the Henderson County community today to meet with parents, I encourage you to pay special attention not only to everything they say, but also the environment in which they live. Find something you have in common with them and talk about it. It builds trust. And the thing that will probably come from today, a number of connections. Talking down any barriers that might be in the way of a student's success starts with these connections. The better you know each and every student in Henderson County, the easier it will be for you to help them all achieve their best in school throughout this year and be ready for the time graduation rolls around. I appreciate you inviting me on behalf of the Commissioner, and I so am grateful for what you are about to do. And as I said at the beginning, as you look around the room at these shirts and these people who are giving of every day of their life to make it better for boys and girls in Henderson County, I hope you give yourself a big round of applause for what the example you set for others. Thank you.
This time, Mr. Derek Graham.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Dr. Ritchie, for having me today. It is a pleasure to be here, and I want you to know I was welcomed by your finest last night. As I arrived here, I was ticketed for not wearing a seatbelt, and I guarantee you for those 3 hours and 15 minutes, I did wear a seatbelt from Frankfurt to Henderson. But I decided I wanted to go and do some commerce. And so I went, and you'll find out what I did later. I went and bought some things, and as I was coming out of the parking lot, the officer, I looked at him dead in the eye, and he saw me, and he saw that I did not have on my seatbelt, and that I was about to strap, but it was too late. So I paid the price for not following the rules. But I want to tell you that I am very happy to be here today, and I want to say good morning to all of you. And it is a pleasure for me, and I thank you all for inviting me to this home blitz. As a teacher who retired just a year ago, I have a pretty good idea of what you're thinking right now. Is it really the end of summer? And why am I in here when I can be in my classroom preparing for my students? I know you all thinking that. I know you're glad to get out into the community. But back in your minds, you're thinking, I need to get back in my classroom so I can get ready for school. I've got a lot of things I got to still get done before the students arrive. It can be tough to reclaim that back to school spirit, I know, both for students as well as teachers and staff. And if you're like I am, each summer seems to get shorter and shorter. This program, however, is an ideal way to jumpstart the school year. The leadership here at Henderson is to be commended for this ideal method of introducing the new school year. One would hope other districts in the state would also adopt this idea of the home visit blitz. It speaks volumes about your willingness to go the extra mile, or to be more accurate, to go the extra 5, 10, or 15 miles. What makes this blitz special, of course, is that it forms another connection between students and school employees, and it further binds the school system to the community it serves. All too often, back-to-school gatherings are passive events where the students shuffle from one room to the next. This home visit blitz program is anything but passive. Many of you know I just became chair of the House of Representatives Committee on Education at the end of this past school year. So while I have been a retired classroom teacher / educator, I feel like I'm starting over too. At the same time, I want to be clear that I have a deep understanding of the challenges and the opportunities facing educators like you. I am committed in doing whatever it takes to give you, those on the front line, what you need to succeed. For let's be frank, leaders and education personnel, it is so important that Henderson County schools continue to stay abreast of innovative techniques in moving your district toward continued improvement. The success within your district and the other 172 public school systems in producing more college and career-ready graduates will help to push back or reduce pressures to implement programs which you and I know are primarily designed to undermine, reduce, or eliminate the role of public education as we know it, not only throughout our Commonwealth, but throughout our country. We, as advocates of public education, especially superintendents, administrators, principals, teachers, staffers, school board members, and yes, state elected officials, must work together to help make public schools stronger, efficient, proficient, and the most successful in educating our greatest resources, the children of our great Commonwealth. We must pledge to stand together in accomplishing this goal. I am proud of the fact that no other legislative committee has the level of dialogue that the Education Committee has with educators. Your suggestions and your concerns are sought and are definitely heard by committee members. Having this two-way dialogue helps us to better implement both state and federal changes in the law. It reinforces the fact that when we all work together and have an open level of dialogue, it helps to generate improvement in the educational rankings for Kentucky. If the education community in Kentucky had not developed this level of communication and collaboration between the local districts and the state, our national education rankings probably would not have achieved this year's top 10 in Education Week's annual survey of schools across the country. And our NAEP scores would not be among the top 20 states in several core content subjects. Nor would our success in AP tests have been such a phenomenal growth over the last few years. For now, let me say again how much I appreciate being here today to help kick off the start of the 2013-2014 academic school year in Henderson County. Programs like this one are infectious, and they are a great way to put us in a frame of mind we need to be in order to prepare for the new school year. Before I end, I want to leave with you a quote that has meant a lot to me over the years, and I hope will inspire you today. It comes from a Greek writer and philosopher named Nikos Kazantzakis, which is appropriate given Greece's role in education over the centuries. And here is what he had to say. True teachers are those who use themselves as bridges over which they invite their students to cross. Then, having facilitated their crossing, joyfully collapse, encouraging them to create their own. Each of you here, in your own way, has been a bridge to the boys and girls and the young men and women who attend Henderson County schools. You have and you will have helped shape their future, the future of our Commonwealth and our country as well. I cannot imagine how much less we would be if you were not here, day in and day out. For that, I thank you, and I know the people of Henderson County do as well. And I hope all of you have a wonderful time today. This event and the energy I see here has me convinced more than ever that you got a great school year ahead of you. And so I'm going to ask the superintendent to come forward. I have something to present to him. And you know, teachers always borrow from one another. And one year when we were in our opening days, just like you are here today, we each were given a package, and I started to try to do this, but then after I figured out the number of teachers that you had, we could not provide you with this package. So I'm going to provide this to the superintendent. And in this package, if you would hold it for me, is a highlighter, an equal package, a Tootsie Roll, chewing gum, mints, lifesavers, crayons, a puzzle piece, and erasers. Now you language arts teachers and English teachers, I'm playing with words, so please don't try to get on me after I finish this. But the highlighter represents the fact because you make our schools brighter. The equal package in this package says that you can remember to treat everyone fairly. The Tootsie Roll represents because you play an important role in our children's lives. The chewing gum because you choose to make a positive difference in all kids' lives. The mints, which are peppermint and spearmint as well as chocolate mints, for your involvement, encouragement, and commitment to our schools and our children. The lifesaver, you are appreciated a whole lot. The crayon, because your work leaves a lasting mark. Because your work leaves a lasting mark. And the small puzzle piece, you are an important piece of Henderson County schools and Henderson County community. And the eraser, The effect that you have on our kids can never be erased. Think about it. Henderson County Schools, have a great year. God bless you, God keep you, and let's go Purples. Thank you.
We failed to mention there's another note here, fasten seatbelt. It's my pleasure to introduce Herb McKee, a community leader and supporter of our school system. Mr. McKee.
Thank you, Dr. Ritchie. When I was invited to introduce our speaker, both Dr. Ritchie and Morgana and Danielle said, remember, Herb, the 5 B's. What's the 5 B's? Be brief, brother, be brief. I said, okay, I get it. And but I would like to share a little story with you that I heard from my pastor this weekend before I began to introduce our speaker. He said a telemarketer called the next number up on his dial list, and a little voice answered the phone. Hello? And the telemarketer said, is your dad at home? And the little voice said, yes, but he's busy. Oh, really? Well, is your mother at home? Yes, but she's busy too. Goodness, is there any other adult there I could speak with? Yes, the police. My goodness, what are the police doing there? The little boy said, looking for me. That's what we're going to be doing today, isn't it? We're going to be knocking on doors looking for kids. For some time, we've been trying to lift the attention on this progress that we're making here in our school district beyond the state level and get some attention at the national level. And so at this time, when it became time to try to secure speakers for this event, I sent out another email to Secretary of Education Arnie Duncan. And I learned last night that Secretary Duncan responds to every email he gets, apparently. And so last year there was a decline, we can't make it. But this year, our speaker picked up on the invitation and emailed me and said, absolutely, I'd love to come. So, our speaker is the National Director of Regional Operations, Office of Communications and Outreach with the U.S. Department of Education. In addition, Mr. Vega serves as a department representative for the education initiatives including Elementary and Secondary Education Act, that's No Child Left Behind, a resource on the education provisions of the Americans Jobs Act, business partnerships, initiatives, linking student learning with post-secondary education and career readiness. This thing goes on, but I can tell you that only Brad Snyder in Henderson County has a longer title than our speaker does. And we're really proud of Brad, and I think you're going to be proud of our speaker when he comes up. And I know that you would like to give him a warm Henderson County School District, Henderson County community welcome. Will you please join me in welcoming Mr. Dennis Biga.
Thank you very much for that. And I was in a session with some teachers this morning, and one of the comments that was made was the different learning styles that the students in our classes have. And Representative Coleman, I have to tell you that one of my learning styles is to learn from the experiences of others. And I guarantee you, when I left here last night, I made sure my seatbelt was buckled, as well as coming here this morning. So thank you for that education. I am, as introduced, a federal bureaucrat. But I'm also a parent and a teacher, which perhaps gives me some qualifications to represent all three. But as long as we're telling stories, there's a story about the doctor, engineer, and the federal bureaucrat that were on their way to the airport and they decided to share a taxi cab. As ill fortune would have it, as they were on their way to the airport, they were run over by an 18-wheeler. And the next thing they knew, they were standing face to face with St. Peter at the gates of heaven. St. Peter looked over the trio and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the footsteps of heaven. I have good news and I have bad news. First, the good news. By virtue of where you are standing, you realize that you've lived an exemplary life that entitles you to everlasting life in the kingdom of heaven. The bad news is we're a little overcrowded up here, and we only have room for one more person. And in God's infinite wisdom, He has decided that whichever one of you represents the oldest profession will get the last spot in heaven." Well, immediately the doctor stepped forward. And he said, "St. Peter, with all due respect to my traveling companions, that would be me. After all, I'm a doctor, and my ancestors were responsible for patching up Adam after God took the rib to make Eve." Well, the gates of heaven began to open, and immediately the engineer stepped forward and she said, "Just 1 minute. With all due respect to this doctor, I'm an engineer. And my ancestors were responsible for taking the chaos and disruption of the universe and forming it into the organization that it is today that allows us to be standing before you at the gates of heaven." Well, the gates began to open a little bit further, and just at that moment the federal bureaucrat jumped forward and said, "Hold it! Who do you think was responsible for all that chaos and disruption?" So my point in bringing that up is that sometimes we get in the way. Sometimes we have a way of creating circumstances that try to solve problems that don't exist, or try to alleviate issues that may not benefit from our intervention. I come before you today with the hope that our support of this experience is intended to learn from you, not to instruct you how to do it better. I know I heard from some of you this morning that getting up this early to come here today was not part of your summer plans. I'm guessing that if you had a wardrobe choice, light blue would not have been the color you would have picked for today. But I also come here to let you know that it is not like this everywhere. One of the reasons that we were drawn to Henderson County is because of what is happening today. Your willingness as teachers to engage in a community-wide enterprise to invite parents to own the education of their children is an incredible value that does not happen everywhere. Now, as a teacher, I've learned several things about our profession. One, that we are incredibly creative, and two, that we are extraordinarily modest. We think because we're doing it, it's happening everywhere, and we better get going because we're falling behind. I guarantee you, what is happening in Henderson County is not happening everywhere. In fact, it happens in all too few communities across the country where there is this authentic expression of community partnership that blends together the commitment and passion of teachers with the commitment and passion of the community leadership, whether it's business, faith-based, community-based, that recognizes that education is as much a civic value as any enterprise in this county that represents the pride of Henderson. It could be the park along the Ohio River. It could be any other building or event that Henderson hosts each year. This illustrates that education is as much a part of the fabric of your identity as anything else. And believe me, it does not happen everywhere. We wish it did. We wish home visits, we wish parents being involved and invited to be involved happened across the country. Because I know, and you know, that we, in a 7.5-hour day, in a 5-day, 7.5 hours, who am I kidding? In the 12-hour days that we put in, the 7.5 we're paid for, we cannot do this alone. Children are in a community of family, a community of social media, a community of peers, that we are a part of that circle of influence. And the more we expand that circle of influence to benefit kids, the better chance they'll have to succeed. we're facing in this country a real challenge. On average, 27% of our kids drop out before they walk across a stage very similar to this to get their high school diploma at the end of 4 years. I defy you to tell me what other profession in this country, if faced with that same decline, would be as passive about the impact as we tend to be in this country about a 27, 28, 29, 40% dropout rate. This sea of blue gives me hope that there is a commitment to make certain that no child in Henderson County will leave the system invisible. That he or she will know that they have an opportunity to succeed, but more importantly, their parents, whether it's their grandparent, the significant adult in their life, their mother, their father, their older brother, whatever the circumstance is in their lives, that they see the value of their engaging in the work of success in education. It's not a commitment you take lightly. It's certainly not a commitment we take lightly. We have, and I was sharing with some folks last night, we have a couple of proposals. What would a bureaucracy be without proposals? One of them is to increase the amount of funding we put into parent and home visit programs. And we've estimated that Kentucky would receive about $8 million a year to increase its outreach to home visits, to provide parents the information they need to be more involved. And you and I both know there are 100 reasons why parents disengage from what happens in their kids' education. It could be disinterest. It could be I'm working 3, 4 jobs to make ends meet. It could be I'm not comfortable that I understand enough about what my son or daughter is learning to contribute to their success. It could be a multitude of issues, and disinterest may not be the number one. So how we engage parents and find out how we can leverage what they do to help leverage what we do is a critical and consequential commitment that you're making. And one that and I know Dr. Doyle talked about it, Dr. Ritchie talked about it, about wanting to sweep this from one end of Kentucky to the other. My interest is in sweeping this from one end of the country to the other. And how we take what has emerged here in Henderson County, this unique collaboration of interest by the community, by teachers, by the education system, to engage parents in a critical partnership for the success of their kids. I want to take that to other parts of the country so that people know that, well, we can't do that here. Well, wait a minute, they're doing it in Henderson. Now, you're unique in a lot of ways, but I don't think you have magic in your water that is so unique that other communities can't do what you've done with the same enthusiasm, with the same commitment, and with the same outcomes. I said I was both a parent and a teacher. When I was a teacher, I was faced with some of the same challenges you are. Kids who felt that no one was really concerned about what happened to them before they came into your classroom and before they left. Now, whether that was true or not, I can't say. But that was the impression they had that they brought into my classroom. And it helped me understand my kids better when I knew what environments they were living in at home. To visit a parent's home and find out the challenges that student encounters, or the challenges those parents encounters, made me a better teacher because it made me more relevant to the students that were in my classroom. I suggest that the same thing is happening when you visit the family's homes as well. It gives you a better profile, a better understanding, a better appreciation of the environment that kids experience that they bring into your classroom. Now, $8 million may not be a lot of money, but it is intended to be an example that we care at the national level about what happens at the local level in ensuring a quality education. It'd be easy for me to come up with all kinds of bureaucratic platitudes about what we're doing to help you. This is a different, and I think Herb used the phrase we were walking over here about paradigms. And I'm not sure I can define for you what a paradigm is, but I'm pretty sure the one we're in is shifting. And the paradigm shift we're experiencing is one where we are trying to restore the prominence of the local level in generating and succeeding in a quality education. If everything that is decided about the future of education comes from inside the Washington Beltway, where I spend a disproportionate share of my time, we're not going to create or learn from the examples of Henderson County to generate the kind of change and paradigm shift that will invest the community in the education value that it represents to this county. So I applaud you for that, and I'm seeing how long this court is. And I'm going to end in the spirit of the theme of this. Now, if you remember the Wizard of Oz, it ends very interestingly. There is no place like Henderson. There is no place like Henderson. There is no place like Henderson. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Vega, for those remarks. At this time, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce our next speaker, and this is just reinforcement as to why we're all here and why we do what we do. It's for our parents and our students and our guardians. At this time, I'd like to call Miss Judy Kellogg up to the stage. She is a longtime volunteer at A.B. Chandler Elementary, and she is the proud great-grandparent of Anijah, Kyla, and Samara Courtney. And if we would have those four individuals come on up to the stage this morning.
I got this thing in front of me, and I had a lot of papers wrote. And my husband said to me this morning, right before I left, he said, "Where's your papers?" And I said, "I throw them away because I got to speak from right here." I'm raising 3 little girls that they're the pride of my life. And living in Henderson has made it so much easier to raise these children, especially due to the school system. And a big thank you to the Chandler staff and teachers that have let me volunteer for all these years. Don and I'm married to Don Kellogg. A lot of the gentlemen here will know my husband. I went to Chandler to volunteer because from the first day of school that my girls left me, I couldn't bear to be by myself. They gave me that opportunity to work with other children and to work with the staff, but I also got to just pass in the hall and see my girls. Give them a wave or give them a little kiss on their forehead, but that's what's important to me in my life. That is my life, is my girls. And I didn't know what I was going to say when I got up here. I'm just honored. I feel so honored that that I was asked to do this. The home visit blitz is so important anymore to us. The teachers come to the comfort of our home, and our motto in our home too is there's no place like home, because in our home there's no place like our home. We just want to thank you for all you've done, and my girls, they love the school here. They love the school. Some of them are going to a new school this year, and they're looking forward to it. It's not like they're afraid. The teachers have made sure that they have a positive attitude while they're going into their school. And I'm going to count the hours till they come back home to me. Because my home is important when my girls are there. I want my girls with me. But since I can't have them home all the time, if Chandler will let me, I'm going back to Chandler and volunteer again this year. Now my girls have just reminded me that I'm really up here to talk about the home visit blitz. Okay, so I am. The home visit blitz to us is, my girls tell me that it's like the anticipation of waiting for Santa. That when we get home today, they're going to be peeking out the windows and opening my doors, and every car that comes by, they're going to think it's the teachers and the staff coming to visit with us. So when we leave here today, we're going to go home quick as we can and be waiting on our visitors. Thank you so much.
Okay, I have chills now. That was great. Thank you for sharing that. So, well, before you all head out to the homes, which I know that many children and their parents are anticipating, I would definitely like to say that I know we do this once a year, and it means so much. And so thank you for what you do. This is all about you and the kids. So any way we can help, let us know. I know the Early Learning Center. Let's hear it for them as well. They do this twice a year, at least twice a year, and I think that that's amazing. So just I hear so many good things of what our school system's doing, and there's so many great things. So let's make sure that we celebrate that. Let's make sure the words that come out of our mouth are encouraging to one another and to our students, and I think that this is a great time. I also want to thank the high school for setting this up, especially Jeff Corsi. And the central office. We have some ladies here have really helped with the decorations. Those are the best decorations I've ever seen. So let's thank the ladies that helped with that at central office. Also, I want to thank our board members and Dr. Ritchie for encouraging us to do this as well. Without them, this is maybe something that we wouldn't see today, the sea of blue. I'm a UK fan, so I had to throw that in. And then also, I want to thank Morgana. Even though she slipped out, she's done so much, and she does a lot of behind the scenes. And so I want to thank Morgana and, of course, Cindy. And really also want to thank the community, their support in all of this, and the fact that they back us up, and they're our cheerleaders. So with that being said, I want to hand this over to Cindy, and she'll thank our sponsors.
Again, like Danielle said, this is an awesome day, and we look forward to having it again next year. And we want to thank everyone that participated on our program today. And without the sponsorship of numerous business and community members, this would not have been possible. So it does take the home, the community, and the schools working together to be successful. And we want to thank Aber Promotions, AccuRite Corporation, Audubon Metals, Balfour, Bank Trust Financial, Brentag, City of Henderson, CSX Railroad, Evansville Teachers Federal Credit Union, Galloway Electric, Home Oil and Gas Company, International Papers, J&B Barbecue and Catering, Methodist Hospital Wellness Program, RC Cola, Northwest Kentucky Ford, Ohio Valley Financial Group, Piazza Produce, U.S. Bank, and anyone else that we failed to mention. Thank you so much, and thank you to the Henderson County Board of Education as well for helping us to support this program.
And to close the ceremony at 10:30, we said 10:30, so Dr. Ritchie, you have about 3 minutes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. It's always funny they put me on the end and then limit me, but that's okay. I just want to make some observations because we are blessed having these distinguished guests with us today. But I want to say that we as a school system can rise no higher as an educational institution and body than the expectations of our community. And one of the things I see changing are the expectations of our community. So we have to lift the lid, and we all have to perform at a higher level. And I sense that, and I appreciate that. I do know that research is abundant in many aspects of the value of these kinds of activities. But one of the things I've noticed in Henderson, as parents get involved, education changes, and that's a good thing. parent involvement is critical to our success as we move forward. This homeschool blitz is probably one of the most positive things that we're doing in terms of building relationships. And you know, I want to challenge each one of you and myself that we've got to do a better job of building relationships. We talk about rigor and relevance and relationships, but that relationship is so important because underlying that relationship is building trust with our stakeholders. The homeschool visit blitz, I know for myself personally, it invalidates a lot of assumptions that we might have as we move through the community. It confronts our own bias, and believe me, we all have our bias as we move through Henderson County. But more important, it really changes our paradigm, meaning how we see things. And I think that's an education to each one of us in terms of this home visit. Now, I want to ask one question. How many rookies do we have? How many are on the blitz for the first time? Raise your hand. I'm not going to embarrass you. That's great. Now, there's just a few simple rules that I want to share with you. These are Richie's rules. By the way, they asked me what uniform that I was going to wear, and I said I didn't have time. I've been paving that yellow brick road, so, you know, it's okay. First of all, I don't want you to bite any dog that comes to you. And I don't want you to attempt any leaping of fences. Some of them did that last year. I don't want you to swim in anyone's pool. Steve Steiner tried to do that last year. Please don't peek through any windows because you might see something that will change your life forever. Please do not drive your SUVs and cars in other people's yards. And most of all, I don't want you to forget lunch. We have a great day planned thanks to you. Your dinners will be served in various places. Again, to all of you that made this possible, thank you. But most of all for you that have dedicated yourselves to this day and to our children. You deserve extraordinary thanks. Have a great day, and we're looking forward to a great year. This meeting is closed. Thank you.